Albania has recently become a very popular destination. With its wonderful coastline and breathtaking interior of rugged mountain ranges, it is populated with a distinct yet varied culture, an untouched beauty of fascinating history. It's no wonder that it is continually rated as one of the top travel destinations. My name is Robert Hackman, a working photographer who specializes on Albania, and for more than 20 years I have been traveling and getting to know this fascinating Balkan country. In these series, I'm going to bring to you the Albania that I have explored and fallen in love with, to show you the unusual and the unique. Places of scenic beauty and its people. Some personal insights, and hopefully, along the way, explain and disentangle some of its rich history. The southern Albanian city of Vlora has so much to offer, from its picturesque bay to diving into its blue clear waters or rich history. But to the Albanians, this city is synonymous with their independence. Vlora is the largest city in the region known as Labëria, a mountainous area that has served as a sanctuary for its inhabitants to retreat and hide amongst its peaks and deep gorges during times of invasion, and there have been many. Geography shapes both history and culture, and our trip today to Kurvelesh will help us discover how over the millennia this mountainous region forged a spirit that raised the red flag with the double-headed eagle. Southern Albania is a lot flatter than the north of Albania. And this has given invaders the chance to control the population a lot more easily. However, here in Labëria, in the southern pocket of the south of Albania, it's very mountainous, which has protected the people and its culture. And it's no coincidence that it was in Labëria, in Vlora, in 1912, that Ismail Kemal Bey Vlora defiantly raised a red double eagle flag here from that balcony, ending almost 400 years of Ottoman rule in this area of the Balkans. Today we're going to travel inland to Kurvelesh and look at some wonderful environments there, beautiful scenery, and delve a little bit into the back history that led to this moment of Kemal Bey Vlora raising the flag here in Vlora. Let's go. travelling up the Shushitsa Valley behind Vlora, we pass numerous monuments to the Second World War, like this one at Drashowitz. So I've stopped here by the roadside on the way up the Shushitsa Valley, and behind me, in those hills underneath the Kurvelesh, which is the plain on top of the mountains, is a very important village called Nëse. Now the Albanians were suppressed by the Ottomans and faced reforms that centralised power and altered their taxation and also changed the conscription methods. And in June 1947, a local man called Zënel Gjoleka was appointed leader of a meeting there in Nëse. He urged the Albanians to unite regardless of their religious differences. And what I find fascinating about this call and this early awakening of nationalism in Albania to create their own state was that this call predates a poet called Pashko Vasa, who wrote a very important poem called O Albania, Poor Albania. And it was written in the late 1800s. And in this poem, the message was advocating for unity of the Albanians based on a shared ethnicity, as was the meeting here in Nëse, 40 years before Pashko Vasa's poem was penned. So this is an important village in the whole of the bringing together of the people for independence of Albania. Let's move up the valley. During the 1800s, the Ottoman Empire was beginning to unravel. And from this demise, nation-states began to form based on religious similarities. Greek Orthodox became Greek, Serb Orthodox became Serbian. However, the Albanians were an anomaly. And to the confusion of the international community, the Albanians wished to form a nation based upon their ethnic and cultural similarities. To this day, Albanians are a mixture of various religious groups: Muslims, Greek Orthodox, Roman Catholics, and Bektashis being the main groups. But these people of these faiths stress that the first religion of Albania is Albanianism, a sentiment that is echoed in Pashko Vasa's poem and also at the meeting here in Nëse. And it's heard frequently to highlight Albanians' renowned religious tolerance. As I leave the valley floor and begin my ascent to the Kurvelesh, I decide to stop in KÜTU. It's a great place to have a coffee and take in the views of the valley that I just travelled. It's also the home of Zënel Gjoleka, the appointed leader of the meeting at Nëse. Zënel Gjoleka was born here in KÜTU in 1805 to a family of carpenters and became a trusted soldier in a local bey's personal army. After his bey, the equivalent of a lord, was murdered by the Ottomans in 1829, Gjoleka sought revenge and joined forces with another rebellious fighter, Tafil Buzi. Together they launched guerrilla attacks from the mountains around here, in Lower Kurvelesh and also up in the Kurvelesh proper. Buzi was captured, but Gjoleka continued his resistance, leading the Peasants' Revolt of 1847. Months after the meeting in Nëse, the Ottomans implemented their tax reforms here in the village of KÜTU. The peasants revolted, and for 6 months there was battles all across this area, as far as Berat and Gjirokasta. It was difficult for the Ottomans to put down this uprising, as Gjoleka, who then became the leader of the Peasants' Revolt, quickly hid in the mountains of Kurvelesh, and it was impossible for them to root him out. The fighting and warlike spirit of the Labs in this area laid the foundations for that flag to be raised in Vlora. Joleka himself was captured, but the Sultan pardoned him because of his bravery, and he returned here to KØTU to live. But being the restless warrior that he was, it wasn't long before he once again picked up the gun. This time he headed to the far north of Albania with 2,000 men from Labëria to fend off an invasion of the Montenegrins. It was here that he was ambushed and died. His body was then returned to KØTU, where he was buried. In 2003, this monument was erected in his memory, and in 2012, he was posthumously awarded Albania's highest medal, the Honour of the Nation. He really laid the foundations for the beginning of the national awakening and Albania's independence. Now we're going to travel up into Kurvelesh proper, where you'll see the terrain that he hid in when the Ottomans were trying to rout him out. We'll also have time to look at some of the beautiful surroundings and the environment. I've had my coffee, let's go. Climbing the foothills from KØTU, we reach the high, wide, and deceptively barren plateau of Kurvelesh, the heart of Labëria. This part of Albania is spectacularly open and scarcely inhabited. In this ancient land, the village of Nëse perches at the edge of a gorge, plunging hundreds of feet into the limestone plateau. Nëse has been inhabited since antiquity, and its ancestors probably stood within the ranks of Pyrrhus of Epirus and fought against the Romans in the early Republic. And if so, it would certainly explain Joleka's fighting spirit. In the 1940s, a British archaeologist, Professor Hammond, discovered an ancient wall here that goes back to 400 BC. And then a shepherd discovered a very small bronze statue of Zeus, which sadly went missing with the fall of communism. Recently, over 30 ancient coins have been found here, which just goes to show how important Nëse was on a trading route from the inner Balkans to the coastal ports slightly to the east here, just a few kilometers away. So this place has been continually inhabited and has always been an important part of the trading route. It's now become a very, very popular place for tourism. There's lots of campsites here. There's a lot of nature to see, and there's one thing that really stands out. Let's go check it out. But as impressive as the history may be, it is the sheer beauty of the gorge that makes Nëse so special. The Bunts River cuts deep into the limestone plateau, creating waterfalls and pristine pools. This canyon is truly the jewel of Kurvelesh. Stretching for more than 40 kilometers, it is a place of breathtaking beauty and laced with walking paths for visitors. However, it is advisable to utilize the local knowledge, as some paths can be difficult. The roads on Kurvelesh are littered with monuments to the men who lost their lives fighting in the Second World War. And this one, between Nëse and Proganat, is the largest and most impressive. I did a photographic project on lapidars, which is an Albanian word for monuments. I always stop when I see them. It was a brutal war in the Balkans, and the Albanians in particular put up fierce resistance and suffered severely for it. The men of Kurvelesh, known for their fighting spirit, and the women that supported them, were so renowned that many of them were used by the Ottomans in the Janissary Corps, which is the professional, high elite part of the Ottoman army. A lot of them are recruited from this area. And their sons and grandsons kept up the fight and laid buried here today. Brave men. Arriving at Progonat, the wide boughs of a plane tree in the village centre lures me in for a refreshing drink under its cover from the summer sun. First recorded by the Ottomans in 1452 and visited in 1630 by the famous traveller Evliya Çelebi, this sleepy village has often served as the municipal centre for the Kurvelesh. But when travelling through the Kurvelesh, I have never walked down to the Peshtura waterfall. It's only a short walk. Be careful if you're taking the path. And the 10-minute walk was well worth it. I can't wait to get into that water and cool off. What a day. A great day in Kurvelesh. The resilience of the Lubs who fought next to Prius, Zenel Jaleka and his friends against the Ottomans, the partisans fighting against the Italians and the Nazis. That's a lot of fighting. I just hope that they had time to enjoy the environment like I have today. when they were hiding down in these gorges. What a wonderful day. If you're in Vlora, hire a car and come up to Kurvelesh. It's well worth the effort. I'm going back for another swim.